What's up guys, I'm Landon with LMR.com. Today we're going to be working with our SVE Fuel Systems and installing the engine bay portion that is designed for a Coyote swap box Mustang. If you have found this video, but you have yet to watch the review on our SVE Fuel Systems or the installation of the fuel pump and hoses, then I would recommend you go watch those first. They're going to get you up to speed on what you need to know about the kits and why we're starting with the engine bay portion for this particular video. So just to recap from the other video, fuel pump, fuel tank, and hoses have been installed and were routed in the same manner as the factory lines. The entry point to the engine bay for the supply and the return hoses are through the small opening behind the passenger side strut tower. For more information on how to wire Aeromotive's heavy-duty wiring harness, check out the video in the description. We'll first start by flushing the fittings and hose with compressed air to ensure that there is no foreign material present inside of the components. Go ahead and place the aftermarket regulator on a workbench. Loosen and remove the two 9/64 socket head screws that secure the pre-installed bracket to the regulator. Position the regulator onto the provided bracket and reuse the small Allen head screws. This will only install one way. Position this bracket onto the back side of the passenger side strut tower. Install the two provided coarse thread screws and tighten them down. Lubricate the O-rings on the 3-6 AN to AN6 O-ring port fittings. Install these fittings into the 3 ports on the regulator and tighten them down with a 3/4 wrench. Now, whenever we install the supply and return hoses in our other kit, I mark the return hose with a piece of painter's tape to differentiate the two. You can do this for either hose as long as you know which one is which. Install the supply hose onto the fitting in the regulator that is facing the outside of the car. Go ahead and fully tighten the fittings on the hose. Separate the provided fuel rail fitting into 2 sections. Install the short section on one side of the flare and slide the large section of the fitting into place. Thread the two together and tighten them down. Use an 11/16 wrench on the short section and a 5/8 wrench on the long section. Install the provided 3-foot braided stainless hose onto the fitting on the regulator that is facing the engine. Route this hose down the back side of the intake manifold and thread it onto the fuel rail adapter fitting. Go ahead and fully tighten the fittings on the hose. Install a 90-degree fitting onto the center fitting in the regulator and leave it loose. Route the return hose towards this fitting and install it, and remove the tape. Clock the 90-degree fitting and then tighten it with an 11/16 wrench. Go ahead and tighten the return hose as well. Remove the 3/16 plug from the regulator. Apply a high temperature thread sealant with PTFE to the threads on the fuel pressure gauge. Thread the gauge into the port on the regulator. Hand tighten and then use a 7/16 wrench to rotate the gauge until the wording and numbers are parallel with the regulator. You will need a vacuum source to connect to the fuel pressure regulator, so keep that in mind as you progress with your Coyote swap project. Now that you have the engine bay portion organized, you can start neatly dialing in the hoses underneath the car. Start at the front and work your way towards the rear. Use the provided Dail clamps and secure the hoses to the factory attaching points. I then followed that up with zip ties to keep them grouped together. Personally, I'd run over all of your fittings again and make sure they're tight. It never hurts to triple check. So depending on the current status of your swap, you may not be able to test for leaks until you progress further with your build. Whenever you reach that point, do a few key on, engine off cycles to prime the system and check for leaks. After you start the car, you can set base fuel pressure per your application by using the instructions provided with the regulator. Also, reference the Coyote Swap Control Pack manual for the recommended fuel pressure setting. Once that's done, you're good to go. Wrapping everything up here, guys, I would recommend above average mechanical ability when dealing with this stuff. A good selection of tools and help from a friend will only make life a little bit easier for you. Of course, like anything we show you, please use a little common sense when installing aftermarket parts. If you're unsure about something, stop what you're doing and give us a shout with any questions. As always, if you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel to see more performance solutions from SVE and turn on notifications. That way you're notified every time we release something new. Feel free to check out our other videos, and you know what to do by now for all things Fox Body Mustang. Keep it right here with the Real Enthusiast, LMR.com.